What's up, guys? Kyle here, ready to dive into this week's Arnold Palmer Invitational Tournament preview. This is probably the beginning of the best stretch of golf the year has to offer, and we're starting it off at Bay Hill. Boy, am I excited! It's going to be a great week. Last week, kind of a dud. We did hit Nikolai as the top Danish bet. That was nice, but we didn't have any Nico, Shane, or Smotherman, so that kind of tanked us. We're ready to move on to this week. For the API, we're going to take a look at the weather to see if there is either wave is going to have a significant advantage. At a place like this, that can change at any moment, so be fluid. Look at some of the key stats for this week, create a course fit model, see who we like, don't like, then wrap things up with some of our favorite bets. We will be talking briefly at the end about the Puerto Rico Open, so stay tuned for that as well. But as always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. YouTube views have not been hitting lately, so help us out, share it around, all that kind of stuff. With that said, let's jump right in. All right, we're at Arnie's house this week for the API, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. It is played at Bay Hill Golf Club. This is definitely a track where taking a look at the weather is crucially important. Seeing what it's like before the tournament, leading in, during the tournament, all that kind of stuff. And so far what I'm seeing is not much rain. Temperatures are fairly hot. I think it's going to bake out fairly well for the lead-in. And that kind of stays the same for the entire tournament. Thursday, we're seeing a high of 86 while they're going to be playing, and the temperature and the winds are going to be fairly suppressed. Same thing for Friday, high of 86. Winds are fairly suppressed. Saturday, high of 84. Winds are fairly suppressed. Sunday, 82 with a little bit of rain to soften things up, which could lead to some Sunday charges. But again, the wind really is not looking to be a major factor. I mean, this is one of those tournaments where things start gusting. Wind gusts are up to like 30 miles an hour. The leaderboard changes. It becomes you just hold on for dear life, find your pars and move on, and let the other guys mess up type of weeks usually. But this week it's looking pretty tame. I'm really hoping that changes because I've been kind of jonesing for a weather wave advantage this year that we really haven't gotten. I mean, we did earlier this season like once, but I mean, it's looking pretty straightforward this week. Again, it is a elevated event, so they're going off in a relatively similar time frame, but I'd imagine they're going to go off in twos from the first tee all the way throughout the day. So like some of the guys that start at the beginning are going to be definitely done with rounds by the time the later guys start. So there's a slight wave, nothing crazy like most weeks, but from what I'm seeing with the weather, it's looking fairly tame. Definitely keep a lookout on this because it could very much change. It's very early in the week. It's Monday, but for right now, I'm not seeing much. I think you can kind of play whoever you'd like and just look at the stats, which is what we're going to do next. So let's create ourselves a course fit model. Take a look at Bay Hill itself, see what guys are looking to be successful this week, and then create our model. So let's go. All right, Bay Hill Club and Lodge. Let's kind of take a look and see what type of stats lead to success at this golf course. It is a par 72, playing at a little over 7,400 yards. We've got 4 par 3s, 10 par 4s, and 4 par 5s. The greens are Bermudagrass, measuring at about 7,500 square feet. It's a Dick Wilson design back in 1961, and there are 9 holes with water in play. Now, let's kind of look at this from off the tee, approach, around the green, and putting. Now, off the tee, this is an incredibly long course. You would kind of think that you're going to want guys that are bombing it, getting it out there with much easier approach shots. This is more of a positional golf course than it looks. Driver off the tee is actually utilized less often than the PGA Tour average. It's around like 65% is what I think I saw. So there's going to be a lot of tee shots that are really not going as far, and given the length of the course itself, you're going to have a lot of long approach shots, which kind of leads us into our approach buckets. Long iron efficiency. There is a large number of shots that are coming in from around 200 to 225 yards, far higher than the tour average. I mean, this is literally like 50% higher, which is a crazy, crazy number to look at when the tour average is 11%. And this course is playing at 18% of shots are from 200 to 225. You better be good with your long irons. Now, it's kind of evenly distributed amongst the 125 to 200 range. So just all around ball strikers, I think, are going to be incredibly important this week. If you're not ball striking well, you're going to fall behind quick. Now, around the green, since we have so many shots coming from quite a good distance out, I'm going to imagine that you're going to have to be able to scramble around the green game is going to be crucially important. I forgot what video I was watching, but they were talking heavily about how the rough is a lot thicker at this golf course than what we've seen on tour so far this year, and especially around the greens. The closer you get to the green, the thicker the rough is. So it's going to be pretty tough to kind of extract your ball and get out of it, get yourself a good putt and a good look at maybe a par or a birdie. If you're struggling around the greens, I think it could lead to some absolute blowups. And then putting, we are on Bermudagrass once again, just like last week. So stroke gained Bermuda putting. And we do have a lot of putts this week that come from outside 10 feet. It's a crucial stat. I think it was something like here from putting from 15 to 20 feet is heavily correlated. Putting from 10 feet is heavily correlated, which kind of is our bonus putting fields. Those are going to be something that we'd want to look at as well this week. Now, other stats that are kind of important, some of the comp courses, Quail Hollow and Torrey Pines South, they're incredibly long. So guys kind of have to play it a similar way, which does also kind of lead into the fact that this is a very long course. So I will be looking at strokes gained long courses for this one. And I've kind of already alluded to it a little bit. The fact that this tournament definitely is a lot tougher of a test than most weeks we've been seeing. I think bogey avoidance over birdie or better percentage is something I'm going to want to look at. They try to make these conditions quite tough, and I think it's going to be one of those weeks. Just pick up the birdies and the par fives where you can, and then let par be your friend. So now that we've kind of looked at the course, let's go ahead and create a course fit model so that we can utilize that for what golfers we're going to be picking on DraftKings this week with our bets, all that stuff. All right, we've kind of talked at all the stats we want to look at this week. Let's go ahead and create our model. I'm always going to start off by putting quite a bit in our strokes gained, just general categories. I'm going to put 5 off the tee, 10 on approach, 10 around the green, and 5 putting. Going down a little bit, we are going to be looking at, again, bogey avoidance, 10 there. I really think that's going to be important this week. Just ride the line. I'm favoring accuracy heavily this week. I know it is a longer course, and guys that do hit it quite well, like distance-wise, can succeed here, but there's a lot of trouble. The thicker rough's going to make it tough. I think I would rather focus on driving accuracy this week over the distance and let the distance guys kind of make their way to the top in the other categories. Again, these approach buckets from 125 to 225, essentially, I'm just putting 4 on each. I think those are going to be heavily important. 5 on scrambling. I think around the greens it is going to be kind of tough. Strokes gained putting on Bermuda. Once again, we're going to put 10 just like last week. And then I'm kind of getting different with course history. I am going to kind of look at some of these comp courses. I put 5 on Bay Hill just because we're playing at Bay Hill. But then I put 2 each just to kind of see because I want to see it in the stats. 2 on Quail Hollow, 2 on Torrey Pines South, just to sprinkle a little bit of that comp course statistics in there. And then lastly, we did put 10 on long courses. Incredibly long course. I know it kind of goes in the way with what we just did with the comp courses, but that rounds out our 100 metric points. And lo and behold, we've got Scottie and Rory at the top. Like, no surprise at all there. Rounding out the top 10, we have Hideki Matsuyama, Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Hovland, Russell Henley, last year's winner, Matt Fitzpatrick, Ricky Fowler. That's kind of an interesting one. He's playing great golf, though. Ben Griffin and Adam Scott. That rounds out the top 10. Now, what we're going to do next, we're going to sort by salary. We're going to look at the different salary ranges, look at guys that have really good course fits, maybe don't have the best course fits, why they don't, and kind of identify guys we like and don't like this week. All right, the 10K range. We'll be pretty quick with this. It's only got 4 golfers: Scottie, Scheffler, Rory, McIlroy. Tommy Fleetwood and Xander Schauffele round out that range. I am probably only going to be playing Scottie and Rory. These guys have incredible course history here. First and second in course history, actually. They're great on the comp courses, again, Quail Hollow and Torrey Pines South. Both, again, first, second at Quail Hollow, and then first and eighth at Torrey Pines. I'm leaning Scottie if I can make it work, just on the fact that I think his approach bucket numbers are a lot stronger, and his driving accuracy has been a lot stronger. I do not care that he sucked on Thursdays. I guarantee you one of these days he's going to be the first-round leader, probably this week, and just come in guns a-blazing and beat the field by 5. I mean, he's won here twice, maybe 3 times in his career. Clearly loves Bay Hill. I think there's a very strong chance he takes it home again this week. 2 wins, a top 5. T11 last year because he couldn't putt to save his life. If he can literally be a zero putter, he'll win this in dominating fashion. That's not to say for salary relief, Rory's perfectly fine. Like I'm a little scared of the driving accuracy. He finds the drink a couple times, he's completely screwed. This does have a cut. It is top 50 and ties plus the guys that are within 10 strokes. So, I mean, there's an off chance that he could miss the cut. However, that being said, he's going to be so much further ahead of everyone with the driving distance that, I mean, if he can just keep it dry, he'll be just fine. Now, as for Tommy and Xander, they do not model as well for the course. But again, Tommy, he's usually a driving accuracy guy, so I'm not going to put a lot of weight into this. He hits it. He plays positional golf courses extremely well. A lot of the things we're looking for this week, he does very well. I'm a little bit scared of the approach bucket numbers, which kind of leads me to want to go to Rory. He's really not that much more expensive in the grand scheme of things. Or I would be going down to Xander now. Again, he doesn't fit well in the model at all. And it's mostly on this bogey avoidance bit. He does pick up some bogeys that could drag him down. And the driving accuracy has not been good. So it kind of goes against what I'm going for this week, which, again, leads me to why I'm going to Scottie and Rory in abundance. All these guys are great. All of these guys could easily win this tournament. I'm just leaning the top dogs this week and then figuring it out with the salary at the bottom. So that's it for the 10s. And the 9s, let's go. All right, the 9s are a very tantalizing range. If I'm not going to go Scottie and Rory, there's a strong chance I'm just going to go down to the 9, start with 2 of these guys, and figure out the salary from there. If I can, I'm going to try to go Scottie and one of these guys, but that's going to be pretty tough. Regardless, I really, really like this range. Everyone from Matt Fitzpatrick to Siwoo Kim, big fans. Cam Young and Bobby Mack, not going to talk much about you this week just because I'm not going to be playing you. But these 5 really strong candidates. Now, Matt Fitzpatrick is kind of a model darling across the industry. I've been hearing his name pop up a lot. He's going to be a big-time bet. And it's mostly due to, again, 5th in driving accuracy. He's a great putter on Bermudagrass greens. Is he great from the approach bucket? Not really. But, again, all of these guys, he has the best course history at Bay Hill. And then pretty much everything else just speaks for itself. Again, 4th in approach. He's just all around playing great golf right now. So, big fan of Matt Fitzpatrick. Colin Morikawa finished T2 here last year behind Russell Henley. And he's really rounding into form. I think he's finally found his confidence. The big thing that might hold me back is the putter, but we have seen poor putters kind of have a spike putting week here. It's a lot easier to do on Bermudagrass versus that POA and NUA that we were playing on early in the year. So, maybe we can find something with Colin on these greens. And he can have another strong finish, but he's great on approach. We're looking for ball strikers. That's exactly what I want this week. And again, he's one of the best driving accuracy guys on tour. Plus, again, amazing from the approach bucket distances, and he's got fine course history here. Russell Henley won here last year. I don't really like chasing past winners unless it's a Scottie or a Rory or a big gun. I'm a little bit scared of his long iron current form, but from the mid irons, he's absolutely fantastic. He's a great Bermudagrass putter, good scrambler, which is something that Matt Fitzpatrick and Colin Morikawa don't really have. So if they're getting squirrely with their irons, then things could go sideways for them. And then Russell is like literally top 20 and everything else in this field, so he's a great option. The guy I'm probably going to be playing the most of, which scares the crap out of me, is Hideki. Is he good off the tee? Absolutely not. The guy sprays it everywhere. But he avoids bogeys like no one's business. He is probably the best touch on the entire tour around the greens. Great with his irons. He's accurate enough that I think it'll be okay. Again, great scrambler. So everything just screams Hideki this week. Does he have the course history here? Yep. I'm kind of interested to see what exactly his finishes have been. Clearly, if he's 20th in this field, he's probably got some top 10 scattered, and he's probably paid here quite a bit. Let's take a look. It's not the best. Again, back in 2016, completely different golfer now. 10 years ago, T6. But consistently decent unless he just completely blows it in some category. Again, he's been fairly good off the tee here, and that's been holding him back. So I think if he can continue, he's got a good eye for this place. If he can continue that, along with his great approach numbers, I think he could be an excellent play this week. I just think he's also going to come in significantly lower owned than the Henley, Colin Morikawa, Matt Fitzpatrick. options. Plus, if you're going up to Scottie, it might be kind of tough to get to this range. I really like Hideki, especially if he's coming in at lower ownership. And then Siwoo Kim. Again, we're looking for ball strikers. He's one of the best in the world in approach right now. Yes, is he a team no putt guy? Of course, just like Colin. But spike putting week or even a 0 can get him there. Everything else is just beautiful with him. So really like Siwoo Kim. And again, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get to Cam Young. I'm not going to get to Bobby Mack. I just don't think they fit what I'm looking for as much this week. Do they have all the stats? Yeah. Again, middling, but not great. If there was one I was going to choose, I think it would be Cameron Young just because of his kind of current recent-ish form. That's it for the 9s. Let's kind of head into the 8s. All right, the 8K range. Before I get into anything, I have to understand why Jake Knapp and Chris Gotterup, with their current form over the last 36 rounds, are not modeling for crap. There's got to be a reason for it. I don't really understand it. They've been excellent. I know he missed the cut at the Genesis, but in your last, again, 36 rounds is what, 8 tournaments? No, 9 tournaments. You would imagine that 2 first places and some other top 10s would like really vault you up. And from what I'm seeing, it has to be this approach number. The Hero World Challenge, he was atrocious. St. Jude, he was atrocious. And I think this is the book end of his stats. So, like, there's 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, 22, 26, 30, 32, 36. Yeah, that's why. Around the green, he has not been good in a lot of those. Again, the Hero World Challenge is just nuking him. If we were to look at the last, like, 20 rounds, he'd probably be electric. Top of the board and everything. But, again, also the putter has not been good at all as of late, the last couple. So that is a bit of concern. Probably won't get to him for those reasons. And then Jake Knapp. What is going on? Like, it's got to be one single tournament that's just completely destroying him. Because he's been amazing. 68, 8, T5, T11. I love him this week, so I don't understand. Yeah, FedEx St. Jude on approach lost close to 6 strokes. Scottish Open lost almost 6 strokes. It's got to be those two things that are absolutely nuking them. So let's kind of go down the board, see what we like. It's kind of headlined, or we are headlined by, who is this, Harris English. Now, if we kind of look at the course fit scores, they're not the best in this range. I'm tending in these types of weeks to try to follow this fairly closely, which is going to, again, lead me towards Ben Griffin. And the guys like Victor Hovland, Ricky Fowler. So I kind of want to look at some of the other guys that aren't modeling as well, just to kind of see what the issues might be. English not being as high is kind of interesting. He drives it fairly accurate. He's a good scrambler, good putter on these greens. Bogey avoidance is great. This would be the type of tournament I think he could do very solid at. I think it's the approach that's been really killing him. Yeah, approach numbers have not been great. His history here is shaky, but it's fine. And then Patrick Cantlay, better history. Again, the approach numbers are a lot better. I think, yeah, the driving accuracy is just tanking him. So those two guys, perfectly fine. I kind of like the numbers. It's only one box they're not checking. Now, Ben Griffin is looking like he's checking a lot of the boxes that we're looking for. Driving accuracy there. I think the big problem with his off-the-tee strokes gain numbers, he does not hit it far at all. So I think being a positional golf course this week, he's in line for some pretty solid success. I mean, he's kind of similar to Russell Henley. These approach bucket numbers are very concerning. And he doesn't have the best history at long courses. That's okay. Actually, it's pretty solid. I lied. It's just Torrey Pound South. So if you can get over the long iron issues, you know what? Actually, let's look. Let's take a look at Ben. Just see what is going up with those long irons. Is it one of those one tournaments destroying him? Yeah. The Ryder Cup's absolutely sinking him, and then Sony Open's just completely sinking him. He literally won the Worldwide Technology. So I'd imagine when you're gaining, holy crap, 16 strokes, your off the tee numbers, well, all your numbers are actually amazing. So really like Ben Griffin this week. I'd probably go to English and Cantlay over him just on the pedigree, but he's a good course fit. Probably not going to get to Knapp all that much. Just it's the driving accuracy is a major concern. Again, he's a great putter, but it might not be enough for me this week. His approach numbers aren't all the best. Now, Victor Hovland. This guy gets me every single time. When I like him, he completely collapses. Again, approach, those numbers, his irons have not changed. Like, those are excellent. His driving accuracy's been pretty solid. Um, he can't putt. His around the green game has gone back to crap. So I don't know what gives. I guess he's got good course history at Bay Hill. He's good on long courses. Maybe that grinder type mentality is what he kind of needs. Not some birdie fest. But so yeah, I want to like him, and I say that, and he's probably gonna miss the cut. So I'm out on Ludwig. I'm gonna be out on Goddard up just for the time being. Now Kurt Kitayama, he's a previous winner. He's great off the tee. His big downfalls are always going to be with the putter and around the green. If he can kind of normalize that and even be a zero, he can be just fine. That being said, I'm probably not going to get to him all that much this week. And Shane Lowry, after his complete blow up, the mental side of things, like, you don't see guys that completely collapse like that bounce back the next week and like pick up a win. It just doesn't happen all that often. So I think I'd rather go down to Ricky Fowler at 8K. Great course fit model. He's coming in amazing form, I tell you. Like, really vintage Ricky Fowler type stuff, and it's just all around great golf. Great off the tee, solid on approach, very solid putter, avoids bogeys, he's accurate off the tee, he scrambles well. I mean, this is just a great profile. And even the comp course, he's really good at Quail Hollow. Not the best at Torrey Pine South, but that's irrelevant. He's good on long courses. So what's more to like about Ricky? And then to wrap up the AK range, Sam Burns, I'm not going to play him. His game's not really where I want it to be right now. Great putter. I mean, he could putt himself into this one, but just I don't really like what I'm seeing from him right now. He had a strong finish at, where was it? Yeah, very strong finish at Pebble Beach. And I think his Saturday round really tanked him. He was okay on Sunday, but he opened up very strong. Other than that, again, he missed at the Genesis, missed at Phoenix. That's very concerning, especially when his normal weapon, the putter, has really been letting him down. So I'm a big pass on Burns this week. So that is it for the 8Ks. Let's look at the 7s, which is pretty much the range that's going to make or break you this week. All right, the 7K range, again, it's an elevated event. These are some great golfers that we normally see at much higher price points in the regular tournaments, but again, they're much lower this week, just to kind of fit everyone in. And we're going to be pretty selective this week. Now, Justin Rose, he is pretty abysmal around the green. But everything else I'm kind of looking at, I tend to like. He's a fine putter. He's fine in the bogey avoidance categories. The mid to long iron accuracy, very solid. He's got really good course history here. He's great on long courses. Kind of a prototype of a guy that I would like at a Bay Hill. Adam Scott, great off the tee, great on approach. Avoids bogeys really well. Driving accuracy is really strong. Scrambles well. Now, are his long irons, mid to long irons, the best? No. But comp courses very well. Also very good on long courses. That's what I like for this week. Now, Jacob Bridgman playing excellent golf right now. He's an amazing putter. He's not the best off the tee, but he's also not the longest. Oh, I'm not talking on my butt there. But he's accurate enough. He avoids bogeys. Again, great putter. Exactly what we're kind of looking for. His long irons, fantastic. He's not the best from 125 to 150, but that's irrelevant, given he doesn't really have the longest off the tee numbers. And again, he's been very solid at Bay Hill. Are the comp courses good? No. But again, he's got good history at Bay Hill. He's just in an impeccable form. So really like him. Right below him, Jason Day. Same idea when it comes to the comp courses. He has been great at Torrey Pines, Bay Hill, Quail Hollow, all those courses. He'd be a very, very interesting play to me this week. I really want to know what his ownership's going to be. I also need to speak on his long irons have been terrible compared to the others in his range. But solid Bermuda putter. He scrambles well. Driving accuracy's there. Pretty much everything's in line. The approach numbers are concerning, so I'd probably go to Bridgman over him. But I think a lot of the field is going to go to Bridgman over him just due to the recent successes. But Day does have the course history here, so really like Day. I'm skipping a lot of these guys in this range. It hurts me to skip almost all of them, especially like Cootie, Keegan, JT coming back. I'm not going to do it. But then I'm going to be getting down to this range. This Alex Noren, Ryan Gerard, Nikolai Højgaard spots. Now, Alex Noren is exactly that kind of grinded out guy I'm looking for. He's a great putter. He avoids bogeys. Accurate driver of the golf ball. Um, his approach numbers are not the best. That is concerning. But he's halfway decent on long courses. Again, the Torrey Pines South comp course is decent. Doesn't have the best history here, but again, when you're getting down to the low sevens, you kind of got to pick and choose. And given the fact that he's a very strong, he's an accurate driver of the golf ball. He's good with his putter. I think he can find some success if the approach numbers can kind of be there. Then skipping down Ryan Gerard, I know he's kind of sputtering a little bit. Let's kind of look at the numbers as to why he's slowed down a bit. He's let a lot of people down last week. Start of the season, second in what is this, Afrasia Bank Open, second at the Sony, T2 at Amex. We're like, oh boy, this guy's about to have himself a season. Farmers T11, and then he kind of has regressed a little bit. A lot of it is due to the around the green and putting. Tee to green, excellent, been fantastic. If he can just figure out the putter and around the green stuff, he's going to be just fine. Really like him this week. And then Nikolai Højgaard, he had an amazing Sunday to kind of charge up and backdoor a top 10 last week. Great off the tee, great on approach. He's not exactly the best putter and the most accurate driver of the golf ball, but I think he can get himself far enough out there. If he can just avoid the water, just like I talked about with Rory, I think he will be just fine this week. And again, the comp courses, Torrey Pine South, second, great history there. Very good history at Quail Hollow. I know he hasn't had good history here, but really like Nikolai Højgaard this week. And I think that's about it for the sevens. Again, Nico won last week. I think he's going to be riding a high. I don't know if I'm going to go back to him. But that's pretty much it for the sevens. Let's kind of take a look into the sixes, see if there's any guys that stand out at all that we can utilize to help us get up to the Scotties and Rorys this week. All right, DraftKings Sportsbook is where we are doing all of our betting research. All in all, I'm not really liking the board, if I'm being quite honest. Now, Scottie at close to 4-1 is very interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we bet something along the lines of like one of the winners was going to be Scottie or Rory, and it was like plus 200. I'm going to look at that here in a minute and see what that's at. But I do actually kind of have some interest in these two guys. Again, they have a great course history here. I think the number on Rory, I wish it was like 1100, but 920 is fine, and I think Scottie kind of creeping up out of that 275 range into the mid threes. If it can touch 4 and you can get a boost on it, maybe close to 5, really like that this week. But going down the board, it's really not all that great. Like, I don't think Henley's going to repeat. Harris English at 36 is very interesting. I kind of like that one. I'm going to add that one to my list. Who are some other guys who really had some interest? Like Adam Scott and Rose. They've got really good long course history. Day has always been really good here, but I'm not going to make that click. Again, this is the first time looking at these, so I'm not really 100%. Honestly, that might be it. Sahib at 96 is an interesting number. Taylor Moore's coming off a really good week. So that'd be interesting. You could get real weird with like Lucas Glover at 260-1. I'm not going to do it, no chance. But honestly, my favorite number says 96 Sahith. If there's going to be a guy deep that I'm betting, it's going to be him. Then I like kind of the guys towards the middle. Justin Rose, Adam Scott, Harris English. Those feel like the type of grinded out bogey avoidance tournament guys that can kind of rise to the top, especially if the conditions actually do end up getting tougher. I'm probably going to live more in the, let's go to outrights, like this top 20 market. When you can get for a top 20 a lot of these names, that's a lot more tantalizing. Are we all trying to make an absolute payday, big check on an outright winner like a Sahib at 96-1? Yes, it'd be lovely. But somebody like a Russell Henley top 20, he always seems to live in that top 20 range. Plus 112 is a really good number. Same with like a Ben Griffin. Obviously, all the guys that I'm picking outright to win, I'm going to probably bet them at the top 20. But we're going to get a little bit more crafty. So, like, what were the other ones we picked? Like, I don't hate the idea at all of, like, the Nikolai Højgaard top 20 at plus 194. Alex Noren, 205. What do we, again, Sahith, obviously. way down the board here. Is there anybody that's kind of like Rio? 325. That's a really nice number. Um, like Glover at 450 for a top 20 is very interesting. Really like some of those guys. Some of those picks are great. Now, what was that specials that we looked at? I don't want wire to wire. Where is it? Like groups. This is it. No. Tournament. Popular outrights. There's got to be somewhere where I can find the 2 chances. Here. This is it. Plus 190. I don't hate that. Don't hate that number. I wish it was 200. But I like plus 190 on that. Don't hate Rory, Justin Rose 770 either. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's about it for me this week. Let's kind of transition over and see if we can look at some Puerto Rico stuff, maybe build a model real quick, and then we will officially get you guys out of here. All right, the 6K range, not all that great if I'm being quite honest. There's a couple guys that I think stand out a little bit. Corey Connors finished like T2 here last year with Colin, or he was like third. He was right behind him. He's been great with his irons. His driving accuracy is pretty solid, but nothing else is really screaming I'm going to do well this week. Not a good Bermudagrass putter, but just kind of the comp courses, Bay Hill history is solid, and he's good on long courses. Sahith Theegala started off the season very strong. He's got decent enough Torrey Pines and Bay Hill history that's nothing to like completely write off. Very solid from these approach ranges. That's kind of what we're looking for this week. Good putter on Bermudagrass. He doesn't do anything like spectacularly, but he does enough. Good putter, good around the green game, decent approach player. Avoids bogeys well. That's going to be important down here. We don't want these guys completely nuking the round and missing the cut. So I think he's a very solid option, 6,800. Ryu Hisatsune. Great start to the season for him. Great off the tee numbers, good on approach, good around the green. Putter's been a little weak, but I think we can make up for that, given that his strokes gained putting Bermuda stats are fairly solid. Driving accuracy's good. I mean, just all around good. He's never played here, so that's definitely a concern. But his comp course history at Torrey Pines and Quail Hollow are solid. I think he's in for a good round. If he can just string together a couple good rounds, I think he can really rise to the top in the 6K range. And I'm not gonna lie, that is like about it. Smothered in recent form has been good. Lucas Glover is an interesting one. Again, if you want positional golf where you hit it to a spot off the tee, he's got really good driving accuracy. He's been good with his irons. I mean, look at this iron play. That's spectacular. And he's got pretty decent history at these 3 golf courses. Big issues with him, he literally cannot putt, and he literally can't do anything around the greens. Well, he's okay around the greens. And picks up a lot of bogeys, which is going to be a problem. But there's some stats that kind of have me interested in Glover. Definitely will help you get up to Scottie this week. And then Andrew Putnam. He's an accurate driver. He's a really good putter. Or typically a really good putter. What is this? Yeah, great Bermudagrass putter. His recent putting woes, I think, are on other surfaces. So he avoids bogeys. He's decent around the greens. He's an accurate driver. Fine with his irons. I mean, like, that's fine to me. He's got good Bay Hill history. So what more to like? To be honest, that's about it. I'm going to change this to 20 rounds just to see if we can see some, like, more recent form guys popping up. Again, Glover's still popping up. Hoagie's always going to be good with his irons, but that's about all he's good at. Joel Damon's been halfway decent as of late. Been really good off the tee. Accuracy's been really, really strong. Just can't really putt all that well. Good with his irons from these ranges. Maybe a Joel Damon. He can pop up. He's got really good history at Quail Hollow. That's an interesting look. Patrick Rogers has been really solid. Taylor Moore finished second last week. Those would maybe be some guys. I'm not going to get to Sung Jae. Just no chance. But that's really about it for the sixes. So that kind of wraps it up with the DraftKings plays this week. We're going to kind of transition into some of our favorite bets, and then we will quickly look at Puerto Rico very quickly, and then get you guys out of here. All right, DraftKings Sportsbook is where we are doing all of our betting research. All in all, I'm not really liking the board, if I'm being quite honest. Now, Scottie at close to 4-1 is very interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we bet something along the lines of like one of the winners was going to be Scottie or Rory, and it was like plus 200. I'm going to look at that here in a minute and see what that's at. But I do actually kind of have some interest in these two guys. Again, they have a great course history here. I I think the number on Rory, I wish it was like 1100, but 920 is fine, and I think Scottie kind of creeping up out of that 275 range into the mid threes. If they can touch four and you can get a boost on it, maybe close to five, really like that this week. But going down the board, it's really not all that great. Like, I don't think Henley's going to repeat. Um, Harris English at 36 is very interesting. I kind of like that one. I'm going to add that one to my list. Um, who are some other guys who really had some interest? Like Adam, Scott, and Rose. They've got really good long course history. Day has always been really good here, but I'm not going to make that click. Again, this is the first time looking at these, so I'm not really 100%. Honestly, that might be it. Sahib at 96 is an interesting number. Um, Taylor Moore's coming off a really good week. So that'd be interesting. You could get real weird with like Lucas Glover at 260 to 1. I'm not going to do it, no chance. But honestly, my favorite number says 96 Sahib. If there's going to be a guy deep that I'm betting, it's going to be him. Then I like kind of the guys towards the middle. Justin Rose, Adam Scott, Harris English. Those feel like the type of grinded out bogey avoidance tournament guys that can kind of rise to the top, especially if the conditions actually do end up getting tougher. I'm probably going to live more in the, let's go to outrights, like this top 20 market. Yeah, when you can get for a top 20 a lot of these names, that's a lot more tantalizing. Yeah, are we all trying to make an absolute payday big check on an outright winner like a Sahib at 96 to 1? Yes, it'd be lovely, but somebody like a Russell Henley top 20, he always seems to live in that top 20 range. Plus 112 is a really good number. Same with like a Ben Griffin. Obviously, all the guys that I'm picking outright to win, I'm going to probably bet them at the top 20. But we're going to get a little bit more crafty. So, like, what were the other ones we picked? Like, I don't hate the idea at all of, like, the Nikolai Højgaard top 20 at plus 194. Alex Noren, 205. What do we, again, Sahith, obviously. Way down the board here. Is there anybody that's kind of like Rio, 325. That's a really nice number. Like Glover at 450 for a top 20 is very interesting. Really like some of those guys. Some of those picks are great. Now, what was that specials that we looked at? I don't want wire to wire. Where is it? Like groups. This is it. No. Tournament. Popular outrights. There's got to be somewhere where I can find the two chances. Here. This is it. Plus 190. I don't hate that. Don't hate that number. I wish it was 200. But I like plus 190 on that. Don't hate Rory, Justin Rose 770 either. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's about it for me this week. Let's kind of transition over and see if we can look at some Puerto Rico stuff, maybe build a model real quick, and then we will officially get you guys out of here. All right, teamwork makes the dream work. The Tap-In team has got me a Puerto Rico Open tournament preview. We are playing this week at the Grand Reserve Golf Club, 132 players. It is a cut event, so top 65 and ties probably are going to get through to the weekend. Very wide fairways, receptive greens, and manageable scoring conditions reward disciplined approach play and strong par 5 production. Wind is always going to be the primary defense. And the event has had a long history of producing first-time winners, so that's very interesting. That right there, when I hear wide fairways, we're going like 15 off the tee, and I'm going bombers. So like straight up, let's just go ahead and add like literally 20. So we're going to put 35 on off the tee. Disciplined approach players, let's do weighted strokes gained for 20. I saw some par 5 scoring, so that's going to be hole types. Where is that? Hole types, par 5 scoring for let's give ourselves 10 there. What else am I seeing? Wind's gonna be the primary defense. What is the distance? Do we got the distance on this course? Approach from 125 to 175, very important. Let's go ahead and just do. We'll do 5 here. 5 here, weighted strokes gained. We'll always do some on putting, so let's do weighted strokes gained putting. And then tee to green, why not, for 15. Let's see what that gives us. It's probably, and I want to do short form. Guys that are coming in really good form. We'll do 30 rounds. We'll stick to 30 rounds. And towards the top, we've got the Danes. We've got Rasmus, both Højgaard and Niergaard Peterson. Wait, we didn't score. Here we go. All right, at the top, we got Marty Dew, David Ford. Honestly, two guys coming in really good form. Sudarshan, he's also coming in really good form. 7,500, that's a great number. Kieran Van Wyck, who I should know this name. I think is it Euros? Yeah, overseas he's been doing. No, I have no idea. No idea why he's popping, but that's interesting. He's fourth in the model. ADDC fifth, Michael Brennan sixth, Davis Thompson seventh, Doug Gim in eighth, Trey Mullinax and Jesper Svensson round out the top 10. Just gonna sort by salary, see who kind of pops up, who doesn't. We are headlined by Rasmus, the Rasmuses, Seabez, Davis Thompson, Haotong Lee, just some of the names that are popping up. But I do want to go down the list and look at some of these like rising young guns that have made their way into the field. We've got John Daly the second. Where is he down here? I really want to know where these guys are. Like going all the way, like Frankie Capin, young golfer, pretty solid. Where is he? Where is John? Good old John Daly. Are we even able to bet on him? Miles Russell at 6,500, crazy. Where the heck is he? I'm gonna control F this. Is he not in the field? Did he like withdraw or something? Oh, they don't have him in the field. Dang, that sucks. Maybe withdrew. I would hate to see that. Blades Brown. I don't know who this guy is. Maxwell Moldovan. He's a name that's popping up in our young gun alert. Jackson Suber is another big name. But if we're kind of looking, we're sorted by salary. In the 10s, you can go with whoever you want. In the 9s, you can pretty much go with whoever you want. Guys, again, I'm wanting bombers. So, like, where's our driving distance here? Driving distance. Give me Michael Brennan. Give me Ricky Castillo. It's like Castillo or something. Give me Rasmus. Moving on down, I will definitely do Marty Dew. Chris Ventura is pretty solid. Whaley Clanton are interesting names. Doug Hume, he's popping big time. Driving distance is solid. Jesper Fenson's got the driving distance. Matthew Pavon was the guy that he's really trending into good form. I don't really care what his score says. He was terrible for a little bit there, but the last 4 starts, very solid. Once you get into the mid 7s, it's looking really solid with S.H. Kim, Ben Coles, Sudarshan. Don't worry about these stars. I just start them from previous tournaments. Zachary Bichal is always a name that I really like, but again, ADDC is right below him. Dylan Wu, again, big driving distance, big par 5 scorer. And again, below that is pretty much guys that just fit the course. Cam Champ at 72. Oh yeah, sign me up. But a Ben Silverman, I guess this Kieran Van Wyck guy, does he hit it far? Yeah, great off the tee. Oh, he's a bomber. Great on the par 5s, good tee to green. Maybe that's why he's popping really, really well. That's about it. Trey Mullinax, interesting name. Justin Hadley, interesting name. Troy Merritt, interesting name. Haven't said these guys in a hot minute. Scott Piercy, why? Driving distance, of course. So yeah, that is it for this week. Again, we've got 2 PGA tournaments, the API, Puerto Rico. Whichever one you play, whichever one you bet, best of luck. And we will see you next week for the players. So have a good one.